forecast for tomorrow. We're getting into a Friday. This whole system we've been following is swinging now into the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. Storms likely to be severe from Louisville southward through actually much of Kentucky in the middle part of the state. And then even down into Tennessee, we could see some strong storms too. So there's a 3 on the Torcon. There is a tornado risk. It's a 3 out of 10. There's also a threat for large hail, for damaging winds, for thunderstorms bringing some heavy rain, all part of the story. Lots of moisture streaming in and pretty far north. The beautiful weather you've had now for the last couple of days in Michigan, and I think there's one spot down to 31 degrees yesterday in Michigan. Yes, that's going away. Hot and humid is back, and maybe more so humid than hot. It's just going to be sticky and muggy, and that's going to feed thunderstorms. We're going to get a stronger push of the upper level winds coming farther south, because remember, our jet stream is digging farther south here right across the Ohio Valley. So that's setting up as we get into your Friday. A couple of thunderstorms could be ongoing to start your day. We'll see that in parts of Kentucky, watching that line head east through Tennessee down into even northern Georgia. But then watching this event by Friday evening, thunderstorms setting up from Louisville southward down into northern parts of Tennessee. That gets you with some strong winds in Nashville on Friday night. Heading out to Lower Broadway in Nashville Friday night, guys. Be ready for these storms coming through, and then getting into Chattanooga by about midnight, heading south as we get into the overnight Friday into Saturday. So watching that potential cluster of thunderstorms. We've got a pretty busy time, and you can see Friday night is going to be that busy time, stretching from Kentucky into Tennessee, into northern Alabama and northern Georgia. Again, where exactly this cluster sets up, who gets it, we'll wait to see what happens on Friday, but we know that that potential is there for this type of scenario getting into your Friday evening. And so we look at a place like Louisville, a couple of rounds of thunderstorms, one earlier in the day, maybe about lunchtime, then again into the evening, Friday night, and then again Saturday into Sunday. We could do the same thing all over again. Very stuck pattern getting into the weekend. Plus, in the southeast, Reynolds, we get into this rinse and repeat kind of scenario.
You're absolutely right about that.
We got Luke Combs, we got Hootie and the Blowfish. It's a big concert, actually, at Sundress Park on Saturday, and everyone going is going to have to be looking out for potential stormy weather. Possible severe weather, actually, is something we have to consider. Lightning is definitely going to be a risk. It's an outdoor stadium there. I know there's other events like that going on throughout the southeast, so we are watching for that threat for storms. Here's the system. As this thing swings, this is our Midwest system. As this front swings on in, ahead of it, moisture returning. So our days of dew points that were in the low 60s, we had that yesterday in Nashville, so nice. Even Atlanta went down to the 60s for a couple of hours. That's going away. The moisture comes back. The temperatures heat up. We've got lots of energy in the atmosphere, lots of CAPE, if you will, convective available potential energy. So that's going to feed into the thunderstorms. It's kind of their food. Strong winds punch in at the mid to upper levels because our jet stream is punching so far south. So there is that chance for severe weather. You know, a lot of times in the summertime, you think about these pop-up showers and storms. Sometimes they don't even have lightning, right? They just pop up, they die out. These may not be that way as we look ahead to the weekend, because there is that chance for some stronger weather. All right, so in terms of rainfall, we think a pretty widespread area of about an inch. You know, it certainly depends on who gets multiple thunderstorms. Anywhere right here along the southeastern coast, Georgia, South Carolina, up into North Carolina, even northern Florida, 2 to 3 inches, locally 3 to 5 inches of rain. You guys are going to get into this repeated area of showers and thunderstorms, plus the low forms right about in this area as well. Let's head west right now with Reynolds.
Yeah, okay, quite.
But will it be enough?
It'll be late.
Enough of a window, and everything will be wet. Yeah, so that's a question. All right, let's go to the southwest. There's so much heat here. The heat yesterday across parts of California was oppressive. We've got the heat advisories, excessive heat warnings posted in Texas. I mean, look at this. Dallas, yesterday we were talking about the fact that we haven't seen excessive heat warnings here since 2011. So yes, it gets hot in Texas in July and in August, but this is excessive, and it's for a long stretch. 108. So this number, Dallas, this will be a record. 105 in Oklahoma City. Dallas, we will break the old record of 107. We're going to break the record in San Angelo by 3 degrees. That's a big deal. You know, when you start breaking temperature records by more than 2 or 3 degrees, that's really significant. It's hard to do that. Look at tomorrow's forecast. We're still up there in Dallas. We're at 109 now, smashing the old record of 105. All of these locations across the southeast looking at breaking records. And of course, it's not just the heat, it's also the humidity. You factor in those dew points, which are in the 70s. Little Rock and Jackson, Mississippi, we're using you as examples. 113 is what it's going to feel like in Little Rock, and it's going to feel close to 110 down there in Jackson, Mississippi. And this is for, a week plus on end that you guys are going to have to deal with this blazing heat. All right, so looking at the scorching car scale in places like Pittsburgh, where it's not even going to be as hot, we threw you in here because a 78-degree temperature still means it's going to be dangerous in our vehicles. After 30 minutes, 112 degrees. And Houston, of course, with all the heat, it's going to be 134 degrees in the car. Scorching temperatures have led to 24 hot car deaths so far this year in the United States. It's so tragic, and here's one woman's story.
For the Royal Pig Barbecue, that means setting up shop in a broiling parking lot here. Just how hot does it get inside that food truck, though? Meteorologist Liana Brockett spent a day at the grill to find out.
That was a hot gig, man. They got some good food out of it. And
yeah.
The heat does affect the workers on the truck. They say that rain actually really hurts business.
Yeah, nobody comes out, right, when it's pouring rain outside. No one wants to stand in line in a food truck. It gets soggy. Their ideal weather is actually 75 and sunny.
That's a country song, Reynolds.
Yeah, it is. 75 and sunny. Who sings it, Reynolds?
I have absolutely no idea.
If you haven't started checking your dew point every single day by now, you need to, because let me tell you, right now in the Northeast, it is so beautiful, and you can thank your low dew points for it. Dew points are down into the 50s and even 40s. But by the time we get to the weekend, that's going to change. So watch these dew points. They're starting to go up through the 60s into the 70s Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We have a very humid week ahead for us next week. Look at that dew point of 76 degrees in Philadelphia. You might as well be in the tropics. So the reason why I always like to check the dew points, because they really give you an absolute look at what the air is like. When you get dew points 70 and above, and especially 75 and above, that is oppressive. I mean, that's like New Orleans. That's like Miami. That's like the tropics. 65, it starts to get muggy. 55, it's noticeable. 45, like we have out there, it's perfect, right? But that's going to change. Lots of words here, but what I want to tell you is the difference between relative humidity and dew point. Relative humidity is relative. It compares the temperature to the dew point. So that's the number that so many of you are used to getting every single day, and to know how useful that is or not, you really need to know what the temperature is and what the dew point is. So why don't you just check the dew point? Don't worry about that, RH. Temperatures are going to be in the low 80s. It's not the temperature next week that's going to get you in the Northeast. It's those higher dew points. And when you have a high dew point, and no matter what the temperature is, you're going to end up with these relative humidities that are high if they're close together. Reynolds.
Okay, Jen. Well, folks.
It's like a weekend washout for millions. See what's bringing days of showers east of the Mississippi. Reynolds.
And Jen.
Live on, and we watch these things sometimes for more than 8 or 10 hours. So let me show you how it all shapes up. We start with the outlook. This is the forecast for your Friday. The red zone goes all the way from lower Michigan right down into Alabama and Georgia. So it's a large area. The focus for the most severe weather is right in here. This is kind of where everything is coming together. Southern Indiana, middle parts of Kentucky. The Ohio and Tennessee valleys do have a 3 on the Torcon. Now, wind, strong damaging winds, and hail also a threat, and probably the bigger threat as we get you into tomorrow. But here's a look at all the ingredients. Lots of moisture coming in, dew points going back up, temperatures going back up. That's going to help feed the thunderstorms. So lots of energy to feed these thunderstorms. The jet stream diving in and digging pretty far south. That's something we don't see very often in the middle to late July. So that coming in here, and winds at the mid-level is going to be up over about 50, 60 miles per hour. That's going to dig in, and that's going to help provide some energy and some spin to these thunderstorms. That'll allow them to support some large hail perhaps, or that isolated tornado risk and damaging winds. So take a look at this. We start the day with some showers, maybe ongoing still in Kentucky. Afternoon, now we're starting to look at these supercell thunderstorms that start going Indiana, Kentucky, look at this, Louisville, around you and south of you, and then congealing into a line of thunderstorms, and that's when damaging winds becomes the most prevalent kind of severe weather, and we see that overnight Friday night. That goes right through Nashville, gets into northern Alabama, northern parts of Georgia. Chattanooga is in the way of that, so we're going to see these storms blast on through there, and then continuing into the overnight hours. This is 2 a.m., and these things are dropping south here, right over that Alabama and Georgia state line. So we're watching that for you into your Friday and Friday night. That's the red zone. You can see it's going to be a very busy time because we start early in the day. We keep going right through the entire evening into the Saturday morning. Louisville, so we get a couple of rounds on Friday, and then again Friday night, dropping south. Saturday, we do it again with more thunderstorms continuing, at least scattered, on Sunday. All right, let's go south, Reynolds, and talk about what's changing here.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing more of this storm.
We got Luke Combs, we got Hootie and the Blowfish, and everyone heading outside this weekend. Guys, you got to be watching out for these thunderstorms because these aren't the classic storms you think about. I mean, Jim was talking about the pulse thunderstorms we're going to have today. They pop up, they come down, they last 15 minutes. These are going to be a bigger deal, and we have that chance for severe weather rolling into the southeast. There'll be that ongoing cluster of thunderstorms that starts Friday night, continues into Saturday, and then we'll probably do it again Saturday into Sunday. So here's why. We've got our system, the Midwestern system that we're talking about. Lots of moisture coming into this, lots of energy, lots of CAPE, convective available potential energy. That's basically the food or the fuel for thunderstorms. Plenty of it. So these storms are going to grow big and tall up into the atmosphere. Very strong upper level winds diving very far south. Look at this. I mean, it's rare to get these strong of mid to upper level winds this time of year. It's why most of the time when thunderstorms form, there's nothing to really steer them along. They don't really have that strong of winds, but we're going to see a system like you might see more in the late fall or even in the spring dig down here into the south and east. So watching for thunderstorms move in through the southeast on Saturday and then on Sunday. Now, there's going to be some breaks, so you got to plan accordingly, watching the radar, watching these clusters of storms. Sunday, another round, and we're going to watch, especially, I think, right along the coast for some active weather. That's all pulling up by Sunday throughout the afternoon and evening, though, into the northeast, where you end up getting the bulk of the active weather. All right, so in terms of rainfall, widespread, about an inch. Locally, 2 inches, and then right here along the coast where we have our front. Remember, that front is going to be right into here. We're also going to be watching for the low pressure to form right along that front. That's going to be right in here. So that's where we're going to squeeze out most of the moisture and end up with the heaviest of rainfall. Charleston, you're right in it. All right, let's take a look at Jacksonville because you're not far either. We've got heavy rain coming our way, especially Friday into Saturday. And then again, that bulk of the moisture pulls up into the northeast. So we'll see that move out of the south and sling up here into the north and east. It's going to be a busy time this weekend across the southeast. Certainly a lot of watching the radar for your outdoor plans. All right, Reynolds, let's go west where it's just been too dry.
And quite a few stories.
Talking about, it does get hot in the southern plains. In the summertime, yes, but this is excessive. You know, we were last week talking about what makes a big ridge of high pressure like this in hot air, and we know that the molecules in hot air really move faster. Look at this little guy right here. I just had to point this out. Can you guys see this on TV? I don't know if it translates, but this thing is dancing around like a firefly at night, and it just reminded me of a dancing air molecule and how appropriate, I know it's just a fluke, but how appropriate underneath this high pressure, right? We got a lot of hot air, excessive heat warnings from Dallas to San Angelo to Waco. First time since 2011 that we've seen this. And it's not just about the one-day heat or how high the temperatures are getting, it's the length of this heat wave that we're going to find. 108 is a record in Dallas, beating the old record of 107. We're going to smash the old record in San Angelo. The old record 105, 108 for you today. It's going to feel even hotter. We do it again tomorrow as well with some record heat across the area. And with those dew points, it's going to feel even worse out there with the heat index. In our vehicles, look how fast it heats up. And, you know, we talk about Houston. Yes, it's going to be hot outside. And, of course, in our cars. But look at even Pittsburgh, 78 degrees outside. It's not bad. But in the car, it gets dangerously hot in just 30 minutes. Now, scorching temperatures have led to 24 hot car deaths so far this year in the United States. It's so tragic. And here is one woman's story.
He is a ramp agent for Delta Airlines, which we fly frequently here out of Atlanta when we go cover storms. Chad, first of all, talk about the number of, first of all, at Hartsfield, the number of bags per day, not only in Atlanta, but nationwide for Delta. I think this is incredible.
Yeah. So no, we're packing our bags as much as we can. So how does that factor in? I mean, it's a workout, and then the temperatures are ranging. You know, wintertime it gets cold, summertime it's hot. Let's talk about the hot end of that.
Yeah. So on the hot end, there's
bags all day, or do you get to, you know, direct the planes into the gate?
Direct the planes in.
Push them out.
Everything's safe. Safety is always a #1 thing for us.
Do you rotate jobs? I see that you have the controllers in your hand, but do you rotate jobs so you get a break from some of the, you know, the more sort of taxing jobs?
It depends on location. You do sometimes, even all the jobs, it's hot.
So, Chad, do you have to, after working out with all these bags all day, do you have to go to the gym? I mean, you look like you're pretty beefed up there.
Moving a lot of stuff, so it's a good workout for sure.
But, you know, we should talk about that, though, because when you go to the gym, you're wearing workout clothes, right? So, I mean, you guys are wearing specific gear out there to be on the tarmac for safety.
Yeah. So the shirt I have on, for instance, is it's actually partnered with Land's End. It's an ANSI dry fit shirt. So Rapid is new, brand new. We had a new uniform that just launched. And we had a team of people. We've had wear tests to get a lot of.
Hear that, Jen?
I got gloves I can put on. I have a balaclava I can put on. I can stay really warm.
And with bananas, 2 scoops meet real banana slice.
where they're going to be this weekend. Jen.
Oh, and this weekend looks like a washout for millions. See what's bringing days of showers east of the Mississippi. Reynolds.
And Jen, it is good.
So let's look at Nashville's one of those spots. You know, sometimes a forecast, you look at a forecast in the summertime, you think, I'm going to chance it. I'm going to go to the amusement park or make plans for the pool, etc. This is not one of them, actually, because there's a very good chance of thunderstorms happening. And with several rounds coming on in, you're not going to get a long amount of time outside. Louisville smack in the middle of it with that likely area of severe weather. The whole red zone has a chance. And there is a 3 out of 10 on the Torcon in the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. So it's hail, it's damaging winds, and it's the isolated tornado risk. All of your classic ingredients coming together, kind of like you'd see in the spring. We've got a big warm sector, lots of heat, lots of humidity feeding that in. I know it feels nothing like air that would produce thunderstorms right now across this area, but that's changing very quickly, actually. And by tomorrow, you're going to be in that zone, in that warm sector with thunderstorms popping. Now, also, the jet stream taking a pretty big dip right here across the Ohio Valley. And so that's the reason why we're going to get these thunderstorms that are severe. Strong winds at the mid to upper levels. That's going to help storms rotate, which is also why we could get some possible tornadoes. All right, so here's a look at your forecast into Friday morning. A couple of showers come on through. One round makes it into Ohio and eastern Kentucky. Then we watch for these supercell-like thunderstorms forming right there across Indiana, down into Kentucky, Louisville overnight. All right, let's see what the latest run does here for us. Bringing in thunderstorms a little bit later, perhaps in Louisville. But we see a cluster of thunderstorms developing, and it's this sort of flavor of what we're expecting here, forming and moving through Kentucky and then dropping south into Tennessee. This is ongoing. Friday night into Saturday morning, that drops into northern Alabama and Georgia. All right, let's go to the south and talk about the pattern here, Reynolds.
That's right, Jen. More.
And also Hooting the Blowfish, Darius Rucker. Look, there's a lot of people that I know have outdoor plans this weekend. And we have red on the map. This is not your classic summertime forecast, right? Thunderstorms are in the forecast with that big dip in the jet stream. And Jim showed you that pattern. And we also have this boundary that's kind of stuck right in here. So these things coming together are going to mean that we have the risk of thunderstorms possibly severe. There could be that cluster ongoing that may reach Atlanta. We'll see from overnight, Friday night, that drops down here into northern Georgia. If it holds together, it could bring some strong winds. But then new thunderstorms do fire up as we get into Saturday. You are in the warm sector. Nashville, you're still in it on Saturday. Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Atlanta right in it as well, sort of nosing right through parts of northern Georgia. And we're going to get these very strong upper-level winds digging in. We'll get that diffluence aloft, meaning rising air. So when the winds are strong, up high in the sky, and they're spreading out, air has to come up to replace it. And rising air means thunderstorms. And when air is rising very rapidly, you'll get some big thunderstorms. And we think that's going to happen on Saturday. So we watched that first round come through Saturday evening. Do we get a break? There is certainly that possibility right now. So don't be canceling concert plans or anything like that here. You got to wait and watch the timing of that morning cluster of storms to see if that goes through and sort of, gives us a break. But then we watch your Sunday. We still have showers sticking around here, at least to the mid-Atlantic, as at that point, the bulk of the moisture heads up into the north and east. Now, the places that get the most thunderstorm activity right here, right along the southeast coast of Georgia, South Carolina, even North Carolina, you guys are going to end up with anywhere from 2 to 3 or even 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Jacksonville, you are in that zone. So Thursday, Friday, especially stormy, and especially Friday. And then we take it into the weekend with more scattered activity, but we're not drying out completely. Now, we go from this extreme to the west, Reynolds, where it's been so hot and dry.
Yeah,
up on something Jim was talking about, which is how hot and humid, not hot, how humid it's going to get into the Northeast this weekend, and then it lasts into next week. Dew points are going back up. We've had some phenomenal air yesterday. Today's even better. That's going away. Dew points are back to the 60s and even mid-70s. That's air like you might find in the tropics, in the Caribbean. Once dew points get to the mid-70s, that is oppressive. 60s, muggy, 55-ish, noticeable below that. Really nice, and you hardly notice the air out there. Now, I know this is a lot of words, but relative humidity versus dew point, there's a difference because not many of you check your dew point every day, but most of you probably know what the relative humidity is. Well, relative humidity is relative. It compares the temperature and the dew point. And when the temperature is